There are new concerns over the safety of some of the products sold on popular websites Shein and Temu for allegedly offering items that have been banned. ABC's Elizabeth Schulze.
In a statement to ABC News, Temu said it requires all sellers to comply with laws and regulations, including those related to product safety, and will fully cooperate with any investigation. Temu and Shein have exploded in popularity in the U.S., offering super cheap prices on everything from clothes to home goods.
Federal and local law enforcement are teaming up to fight human trafficking in South Los Angeles.
Investigators will be enhancing efforts around a more than 3-mile stretch known as the Figueroa Corridor. U.S. Attorney Martina Estrada says the area has become a hotspot for human trafficking, including child prostitution.
We see underage girls walking around in next to nothing, regardless of the weather.
Estrada says many of the children trafficked were recruited from foster homes. More than 80 kids have been rescued from trafficking in the area so far this year, the youngest being 11 years old. Blake Trolley, ABC News, Los Angeles.
An American Airlines flight from Milwaukee to Dallas was diverted due to an unruly passenger in first class. Turns out the passenger was vaping during the flight. That's a violation of federal law, and argued when the flight attendant warned him to stop. The flight diverted to Tulsa Tuesday with over 100 passengers on board, and police escorted that passenger off the plane. Daria Albinger, ABC News.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KVNU.
I'm Will Feelright with your KVNU News update as we have smoky, hazy skies continuing this afternoon. I'll check the weather forecast coming up in just a minute as the news this hour is brought to you by Napa Auto Parts. Well, Tim Ballard, the founder of Operation Underground Railroad and the defendant in multiple lawsuits surrounding the organization's alleged practices, has secured several major legal victories in Utah courts. Judges have dismissed several lawsuits against him and the anti-trafficking organization, which he is no longer associated with. On Friday, a judge again threw out a lawsuit by Ballard's former employee, Suzanne Whitehead, that OUR and Attorney General Sean Reyes had been listed as defendants. Now, Reyes was later removed from the case, but Whitehead had claimed that Ballard and OUR had tried to stop her from speaking out about problems she saw at the organization. She also said that this had caused her emotional distress, but the judge didn't see it that way and dismissed the charges without prejudice. But it's not over yet for Ballard. He still faces several lawsuits about misconduct for both him and OUR. Well, coming up in just a minute, law enforcement has released the identity of a dump truck driver who died in a fiery crash over the weekend in Salt Lake City. That story on the way next as Big O Tire brings you our weather on the 6s. Great place to save on tires, where right now you can save up to $120 on select sets of Michelin tires after mail-in rebates and instant savings now through September 22nd at Big O Tires, the team that you trust. Well, smoke and haze expected to continue as we head into the late afternoon and evening hours tonight, as we've been in the low 80s today. Tonight we'll drop to around 51 overnight, and then we'll see some smoke and haze even continuing into tomorrow as temperatures will get back into the high 80s for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and a chance of rain coming for Sunday. Well, the man killed when his dump truck rolled down an embankment and caught fire in Salt Lake City on Friday has been identified. Utah Highway Patrol Corporal Luis Silva said that Friday morning at about 11:30, a Mazda that was traveling along I-80 in Salt Lake City when it blew a tire, and that caused the vehicle to lose control. The Mazda then struck an oncoming dump truck, and the impact sent the dump truck into a guardrail and then rolling down an embankment before bursting into flames. The dump truck driver was identified yesterday as Scott A. Huff, a 51-year-old of Stockton. He was pronounced dead at the scene, while the driver of the Mazda, a 19-year-old woman, was taken to a nearby hospital with minor injuries. And a woman is now facing charges after officers identified her as a person of interest in an overdose death investigation and found her in possession of heroin, needles, and a scale. Betty Peterson, a 60-year-old of Iron County, was arrested on multiple drug charges. Now, on Monday, agents with the local narcotics task force had obtained a search warrant for Peterson's residence. Inside her home, they said they found multiple drugs and drug paraphernalia, along with a large amount of evidence they believe that she attempted to try to flush down a toilet. Now, Peterson was previously identified as a person of interest in an ongoing overdose death investigation. Peterson was booked into the Iron County Jail on multiple charges. You can get more on these and other stories at CashValleyDaily.com. I'm Will Feelright with your KVNU News Update.
Fall is the perfect time to landscape, and Canyon Landscaping is ready to build or transform your outdoor space. They bring your vision to life with expert care, including installing beautiful planting beds and crafting custom paver patios. They handle your entire project from start to finish, and they have the team to get the design just right. But hurry, spots are filling up fast. Visit CanyonLandscaping.com or call 752-3838 today. Let's make your outdoor space a true extension of your home. Call Canyon Landscaping. Look for the leaf.
News Talk KVNU 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
Get ready for the 2024 Top of Utah Parade of Homes, presented by Willow Lakes. Explore stunning custom-built homes, showcasing exquisite design and architecture. September 12th through the 14th and the 19th through the 21st. Platinum sponsors Burton Lumber and Remax Peaks invite you to experience Cache Valley and Bear Lake's finest living. Mark your calendars to be inspired by these beautiful homes. Get tickets at Bank of Utah and USU Credit Union or online at topofutahparadeofhomes.com. That's topofutahparadeofhomes.com.
The Utah State Aggies play here. News Talk KVNU Logan 102 FM 610 AM. The home for the Aggies.
Recent years were unsung. I lit them up, burning my horoscope. Recent fears are undone. I give them up.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. Hour 2 of today's show. It is Wednesday, September 4th. It feels really weird to be saying it's September already, but it is September already. Joining us here in the studio for our monthly county hour, we have with us Cache County Executive David Zook, and we're going to be talking about something specific today in the county hour time because we are coming up just days away from the 4th annual, it's really cool to say that, 4th annual Ignite the Light event. And I finally learned how to do it, but just to set this up, I'll tell listeners a little story here. The first time we ever talked about this, I didn't know how to talk about it because normally when we're talking about a festival type, event with music and food trucks and booths and, people milling around and having a good time, you can just, be completely celebratory, but the theme or the topic that is kind of bringing all of this about is suicide and suicide prevention. And so, David, it was really hard for me the first year I didn't know how to conduct myself in the first live broadcast we did talking about this because the celebration and suicide prevention or even discussions of suicide and mental health normally aren't two things you put together. That's what I love about Ignite the Light because that's the whole point. Right?
Yeah, it is. And it's interesting you're starting off with this topic because I still struggle too. It is a very difficult topic, and that's part of the reason why we're doing this. And there is a broader topic, and that is mental health and mental wellness. And unfortunately, there has always been a stigma associated with mental health, and that's a problem. That's a problem for people who are struggling with mental health, and the only way we're going to do better at helping people who are struggling with mental health issues or suicidal ideation is if we can talk about it more openly, more directly, more comfortably, because it's just like any other illness. If you really break it down, mental health, mental illness, cardiovascular problems, breathing problems, arthritis, diabetes, whatever the health problem is, they all require intervention. They all require talking about them, seeking help, sometimes medication, sometimes other treatments. And we shouldn't be afraid to talk about mental health. We shouldn't say, well, this is kind of weird or scary or hard to understand or has some kind of stigma. We shouldn't say that and then have the result be that we don't address it appropriately, and then we don't help people, and then people aren't getting the help because then their outcomes are not going to be as good. It's just
it would be the same with any other health issue.
Yeah, if people had diabetes and they were embarrassed that they had diabetes because there was a stigma associated with that, because maybe people would think they didn't eat well or exercise enough or something, and then they didn't talk about it, and then they didn't get help, and then they didn't address the issue, it's just going to get worse. It's the same thing with mental health. If people don't talk about it, if they don't address it, if they don't get help, it's just going to get worse. So that's one of our goals, is we want people to feel comfortable talking about this. At the same time, it's important to talk about it appropriately. Yeah. And that's something I was really concerned about when we first started working on this issue. I asked some of the experts, I said, I feel like there's a stigma or there's a theory out there that if you talk about this, it makes the problem worse. Yeah. And the experts I spoke with said that's possible if you don't talk about it in the right way. And so
that was a big learning curve for me.
I know we did some training for members of our community about that topic, and you came to some of that. We did training for members of the media so they could know how to talk about it appropriately.
And that was eye-opening.
And for me too. And I still know that I have some work to do to make sure I'm doing that exactly right. But what I have been focusing on is talking about resources and how people can get help, and the fact that it's okay to talk about that. And one of the things that led me down this path of talking about resources was, well, maybe I could tell you how this whole thing started in the first place. When I first got elected, I come into office as county executive, and I wasn't there for very long at all. I think it was weeks even. I don't think it had been 2 months.
I know it was early.
And very early on. And one of the staff members came to me and said, hey, now that you're in charge of this place, you need to know about our biggest problem in our community. And I said, oh, what's that? And I know there are a lot of challenges, but she said, suicide. And I said, what? What do you mean? Tell me what's going on. And she shared with me some numbers and some trends, and I got really concerned. And I said, this is an emergency. We need to do something about this right now.
Yeah.
And so that was a Thursday. The next day, Friday afternoon, we had an emergency task force meeting. And I brought together people from mental health agencies and healthcare agencies and public health agencies and the schools and nonprofits and a variety of experts into the room there at the historic courthouse, the county building. And I said, what's going on and what should we be doing about it? And
because it is, when you see those numbers, whether it's teens, middle-aged men, women at certain ages, the trends in Utah at that time were very frightening.
Yeah, well, if you look at it, the number one cause of death for young people in Utah is suicide. So if you look at youth ages 10 to 17 or 18 to 24, in both of those age ranges, the number one cause of death is suicide.
Mm-hmm.
If that's the case, then that should be our number one focus as far as a public health initiative.
Sure.
Let's focus on the number one cause of death.
Because that is a public health crisis, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. And so one of the things that I learned in getting together with these experts and talking to them, I had somebody from the university talk to me, and he said, we've had a lot of students at the university who have struggled and had different mental health challenges. And he shared the numbers with me, which were kind of surprising as well. But then he shared with me the numbers of students who had died by suicide, which was extremely low compared to the really large number of students they had worked with who had been referred to them, who had been connected to resources. And the university does a really great job at this, at identifying kids who are struggling and then connecting them to resources. And then what he said to me was, he said, those couple of kids who died by suicide, they were never connected to resources. They were not on our radar. We didn't know about them.
Sure.
So what that meant was all of the kids who had been connected to resources had positive outcomes. They all survived. They all got help. And that made me realize that that was what we needed to focus on, was making sure we connected people to resources. And there are several things that need to happen for those resources to get connected to the people who need them. Number one, the resources have to exist in our community. We have to have these resources.
Sure.
And a few years ago, we didn't have what we have now. We have made some major improvements in our community, thanks to several agencies and several people who have helped, and some of them have been national initiatives. And what we need to do is we need to do what we've done with traditional healthcare. With the rest of healthcare, we have a really robust continuum of care, is what it's called.
Sure.
So if you have a medical issue, a traditional medical issue, you can call a nurse on the phone. You can call 911. You can have paramedics show up in an ambulance. We've got urgent care, Instacare, emergency rooms, hospitals, specialized doctors, surgeons. We have a really robust healthcare system in our country and in our community.
And that also includes everything from diagnosis to treatment to treatment management, long-term management.
Yeah, physical therapy, all rehabilitation, all of those things. If you look specifically at mental health, we haven't historically been as robust. We haven't had as good of a continuum of care in our community, but we've made some improvements. So,
sure.
Calling 911, if you have a medical emergency, you can now call 988. Well, that's the equivalent. You can call 988 if you have a mental health emergency. That's now a national hotline. It started here in Utah.
Yeah.
So that's available. The paramedic option, the ambulance, we have something now that's just been implemented in the last few years called an MCOT team, Mobile Crisis Outreach Team.
Really?
And if somebody is in a mental health crisis, they can have those experts roll up. And they don't roll up with an ambulance with markings on the side or sirens and lights. It's confidential, it's quiet, and
sure.
And they can get that help. And then where do you go? Right now, people go to the emergency room, and that's it's kind of a problem right now. About 5 to 10% of all of the visits to our emergency rooms are behavioral health related.
Really?
It's a huge number of people who are sometimes overwhelming our emergency rooms.
Mm-hmm.
And emergency rooms are fantastic when you look at our traditional healthcare approach. And they've done a really good job addressing behavioral health too, and I give them a ton of credit for that. It's just not what they were designed to do. What they were designed to do is help people who got in a car accident or had a stroke or a heart attack or some type of traditional medical emergency. They weren't designed for mental health emergencies, but there is a model for that, and it's called a receiving center, but we don't have one.
Sure.
But we're working on it. We got the funding from the state legislature, and it's going to be built here in the next couple of years. It'll be done, and we'll have that facility that people can go to. So we're working on resources. That's the first step, is making sure the resources are available. And then the next step is education. We need to make sure people know about it. People know that these resources are there. And I should mention, too, when it comes to resources, there are a ton of organizations in our community that help with this. Some of them are government organizations. Some of them are nonprofits, like Bear River Health Department, for example, is part of this. Bear River Mental Health is part of this. And then a number of other nonprofits, like the Family Place, for example, is a great resource. And that's one of the great things about this event that we're having this Saturday. We're having this concert. We call it Ignite the Light. So this Saturday at the Cache County Fairgrounds from 4 to 10, we'll have this event. And we will have a ton of resources there. We usually have 2 to 3 dozen resource booths with all kinds of information, programs. Many of the programs are free. The event is free, and many of the services are free, and there's free stuff that people are giving away. Lots of free. So we'll have those resources there that people can come and learn about them. And that's really the purpose of this event, is to inform and inspire people who might be dealing with a mental health challenge themselves, or they might know somebody who is.
Sure.
And that's what I want to encourage members of our community to do, is to come and learn, come and be inspired, and come find out how you can help someone in need.
Yeah.
Maybe it's going to be you. Maybe it's going to be someone close to you, like a family member. Maybe it's a neighbor. Maybe it's someone you're serving in some other capacity. But this is a great opportunity. Just come and walk around and talk to everybody at all these booths and just ask them, what do you do? What resources do you provide? How can people access those resources?
Yeah.
And learn about how you can do that. That's
I think the biggest, just from my experience, you mentioned the media training that you invited me and others here at the station to on how to talk about this productively. Because, of course, here, we're going to be talking about it in news stories. We're going to be talking about it in discussing this event and others. And learning how to talk about it productively was so eye-opening. And that, having attended Ignite the Light in previous years, talking with all of the people at the booths, these resources that are available, you learn so much. And this is outside of even the food trucks, the entertainment, the guest speaker, and more. Which we'll talk about what you can expect. It's this Saturday, again, September 7th, concert at the Cache County Fairgrounds, part of the Ignite the Light event with motivational speaker Mike Schlappy and Cole Hartley Band as the musical entertainment. But we'll talk more specifically about what they have to say and other reasons you should attend the 4th annual Cache Valley Ignite the Light event, which you can learn more about at CacheValleyIgniteTheLight.com. I've linked to that on our Facebook page, and we'll be back with more of our guests here in the studio, Cache County Executive David Zook, right after this.
News Talk 610 AM, 102.1 FM, KVNU.
The Cache Valley Latino Festival is coming to Logan Center Street September 14th, and you're invited. The celebration begins at 11 a.m. with a parade. Enjoy music and live performances throughout the day. Mouth-watering food trucks and vendors offering handmade crafts. It's a celebration of Latin American heritage and culture that everyone can enjoy. So bring your family and friends and let's celebrate. The Latino Festival is sponsored by Members First Credit Union. Large enough to provide the services you need, small enough to provide the services you deserve. Gosner Foods. The straws are back on Gosner Milk. Pick up some high-quality dairy products at the Gosner Food Store. Anderson Seed and Garden and Logan Extermination, keeping you green during the summer and in the holiday spirit in the winter. Presto Products, now hiring. Apply for a career today at Presto Products in Lewiston. And Connect Public Transit, formerly CVTD, connecting you with the people and places that matter most. Find your route at rideconnectutah.gov. The Cache Valley Latino Festival, September 14th on Center Street in Logan, where culture and community come together.
Disasters don't wait for a convenient time. When the unexpected strikes, call the trusted team at Blue Sky. Remember, Blue Sky is that same great ARS team you know and trust.
This is Tom with Blue Sky Restoration. When disaster strikes, whether it's a flood, fire, mold damage, or an unforeseen accident, Blue Sky will clean up, repair, and restore your home or business like it was before. No disaster is too big or too small. For all your restoration needs, you can trust our Blue Sky team.
A Disney cruise is no ordinary vacation. It's an adventure, a fairy tale, a dream. Step aboard and discover where favorite Disney characters meet fun for the whole family, where total rest and relaxation meet the ultimate escape and excitement, where a dream vacation meets a magical cruise. Only on Disney Cruise Line, where magic meets the sea.
Contact Morris Columbus Travel to book your Disney Cruise Line vacation at morriscolumbus.com.
The Maloof Warehouse Sale is back and better than ever. September 5th, 6th, and 7th. You can shop their warehouse sale online at maloofsale.com. No crowds, no traffic, just incredible savings on sofas and sectionals, mattresses, dining sheets, pillows, outdoor furniture, and more. Huge discounts of 70, 80, even 90% off. Shop online starting at 7 a.m. September 5th at maloofsale.com. That's MALOUFSALE.com. All sales final. Pickup will be at Maloof approximately 3 weeks after order. Orders cannot be shipped to personal addresses.
A big thank you from Rogers HVAC. We're the proud silver medal winner for AC and HVAC services in the 2024 Best of Northern Utah. We owe it all to our fantastic community and our amazing team members.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. In the studio with us today, Cache County Executive David Zook, talking about the 4th annual Ignite the Light event. It's coming up this Saturday, 4 to 10 at the Cache County Fairgrounds. This is a festival-style event with musical entertainment, a guest speaker, booths, food trucks, more, and a very fun environment to talk about something that is difficult to talk about, which makes this event so unique. In fact, David's too humble to say this, but I know others in other communities that are looking at kind of borrowing this idea from Cache County and repeating this in their own communities throughout the state. The whole goal of this is to get everybody together in a fun, lighthearted, family-friendly environment with music, food, booths, and more, and talk about suicide, mental health, resources that are available, and productive ways we can all think and talk about this. And David, I know that had to have been on your mind as you guys booked the guest speaker for this event. This guy is fun to hear.
Yeah, Mike Schlappe, I'm looking forward to hearing him. He's a great speaker, has a story that he's been through some really difficult things, but he faced it with the right attitude, and he has succeeded. He has excelled. He's an Olympic medalist. He's really good to listen to. So I hope people will come and listen to our motivational speaker. We have opening acts. We have Seize the Night Records, a local recording studio and record label, and one of their focuses is raising awareness about mental health and suicide prevention. They're bringing some local bands who are going to be incredible.
To kind of warm up the crowd a little bit.
It's just listening to them. I've heard some of the bands that they work with, and they are so good. Well, it's Cache Valley. We have so much talent here.
Yeah.
And they're going to be opening up for our main event, which is Cole Hartley. Also, somebody from Utah.
Very talented.
Local artist who is extremely talented, great entertainer, and a free concert. This is our 4th year, as you mentioned, that we've had these free concerts. And we've had some pretty good entertainers each time. The first 2 years, we had Alex Boyer. Last year, we had the National Parks. This year, Cole Hartley. And these are people that you would normally pay to go see. This is a free concert. Thanks to our sponsors. I really appreciate the Cache County Council, Cache Valley Bank, Cache Valley Electric, Cache Valley Counseling, Cache Valley Media Group. You guys are
sure. Happy to do so.
Intermountain Health. We have so many... Rocky Mountain Power, Seize the Night, like I mentioned, McDonald's. We have so many companies that have stepped up to help and make this possible. But it's going to be so fun, too. Not only will it be an opportunity for people to get access to resources, to learn about ways that they can help people in need or be helped themselves, but it's going to be a really fun night. We have food trucks that are going to be there. There's a Luminaria walk, the educational resources. And there's going to be dancing too. Sage Hall is a dance group here in town. They're going to be there. There's going to be some country swing, country line dancing that's going to be happening, and that's going to be really fun. They're a really fun group. That is the fun stuff that's happening in Cache Valley. They're probably connected to it. So so I really hope people come out and enjoy the evening this Saturday at the fairgrounds, and learn about resources and just have a good time with their family. And I know this is one of the things that sometimes people worry about is they think, well, is it going to be uncomfortable? Are there going to be discussions about things that are maybe inappropriate for my young kids to hear? And so far, we've been really good. We've been very careful about our speakers and entertainers and briefed them beforehand about how to talk about things in a way that's appropriate for the audience. And everybody's been good so far the last 3 years. And we plan to continue that and make sure that this is an uplifting and educational event. And we don't want anybody walking away from this feeling depressed or down or upset. This is about being inspired and
that's what I was
informed.
worried about. In that first year, I remember thinking, can the county do this? Can David and crew pull this off to have this fun event and have everybody leaving feeling good and uplifted? And yet this is the topic, this is the theme, and everything will be kind of couched in that umbrella. And it worked. People, I mean, I remember going that first time. There were hundreds of people there, and there's even more each and every year. It seems like it gets more and more crowded, like the fair almost, there at the fairgrounds. And everybody's having a good time. Everybody's laughing. Kids are running around.
It's a great time. Every time in front of the stage, at some point, it turns into a huge dance party.
Yeah.
And everybody gets up and is dancing to the music, and there is just a connection with community, with friends, with family, with neighbors.
That's so
and
important.
That is suicide prevention. Suicide prevention is getting connected to people and having fun with them outside with music and dancing.
Yeah.
What better suicide prevention could there be?
And stopping by the educational booths as well. Every year I've learned something new about something an organization does here in the Valley, or resources that exist. And as you mentioned, David, whether we admit it or not, we will all be touched by this in some way. Maybe it's a neighbor, a coworker, a family member. Maybe it's you yourself struggling with mental health issues. These resources that you can connect with at this fun festival-like event will help you. Again, even if it's someone that you haven't even met yet, a coworker in the future, but you will learn something at this event that will help you be helpful in a scenario that might pop up.
That's the goal. And the more people who know about resources and who are able to help someone in need, the better our community is going to be.
Sure.
Better off our community will be, the healthier we'll be. And one of the things that I implemented within our county organization, I required that all of our county employees got trained in QPR. So QPR, we were talking about earlier about this continuum of care of things you can do when people have medical emergencies. And on the traditional medical side, one of those is CPR. Somebody stops, has a heart attack, their heart stops, you can do CPR. Well, there's something similar on the mental health side, and it's called QPR, which stands for Question, Persuade, and Refer. And we've done this training for all of our county employees so they know about how to help somebody who might be thinking about self-harm. And and those are the steps. You question them and you ask them if that's what they're considering. And you persuade them to seek help, and then you refer them to someone who can help them. And that's a big part of what we're doing with this event is we are talking to people about resources and referring them and connecting them. And many of those resources will be there that night. You can talk to people at the event. We've had a lot of success stories that we've heard over the years of people who came to this event and were not doing well and felt inspired and uplifted and so much better afterward. I
took control of their mental health situation.
Yeah. I know that if people come to this, they're going to have a great time. We've had a great time the last 3 years. It's a fun event. It's inspirational. It's really it's informative. So many resources there and so many happy, positive people. We get a lot of students from our high schools, from the university, a lot of young people. And I just want to mention one more thing about our artist. We specifically thought this year, we said, let's change the genre a little bit and let's get a country artist here.
Yeah.
Let's bring a country artist because, unfortunately, suicide can tend to be a little bit more of a problem in rural areas.
Sure.
And people in rural areas love country music. I love country music. It's great music. This is going to be good music.
And Cole Hartley is good.
Yeah. And so we might have a little bit different audience this year. That was the goal. We were hoping to bring different people. Maybe last year we got people who were fans of the National Parks Band, and they were amazing.
Yeah.
And we're hoping to maybe get some different people who haven't come in previous years when we had Alex Boyer in the National Parks. This year we've got a country act. So if you like country music, you're going to love Cole Hartley. He is a great entertainer.
Very talented.
Amazing music, very talented. If you like country music, even if you don't like country music, you're going to like this. You'll have fun. It's just good old American festival at the fairgrounds.
Yeah, and free.
It's this Saturday.
It is
from 4 to 10.
Absolutely free. Resource booths, food trucks. Cole Hartley playing. Guest speaker Mike Schlappy, who is, if you've never heard this guy speak, if you want to tease yourself a little bit, go find some of his YouTube videos. Paralyzed from the middle of his back down. No one would have blamed him if he just gave up and sort of disappeared. As Dave mentioned, gold medal winner. He is inspirational to hear. I don't know. This is an amazing event, and it's free. 4 to 10 this Saturday, the Cache County 4th Annual Ignite the Light event. CashCountyIgniteTheLight.com is the website. I've linked to that on our Facebook page. And thanks again to our guest, Cache County Executive David Zook, for joining us today. Stick around. More of For the People to come right after this look at the news with KVNU's Will Feel Right.
Well, thank you, Jason. As we've been talking about, the Utah State Auditor finished its review of signature gathering candidates after questions had been raised about how they got on the primary ballot. Auditor John Dougal's office concluded that it was statistically likely that each of the candidates had met the statutory threshold of required valid signatures. Now, the auditor's office had looked at the campaigns of Governor Spencer Cox, Republican Attorney General candidate Derek Brown, and also U.S. Senate candidate John Curtis after receiving multiple questions and complaints. Now, the auditor said that his office had concluded that not only had the candidates met the legal threshold, each candidate also had time to gather additional signatures if they needed to meet the statutory threshold. Now, the auditor's office said it was continuing to review conduct and other election processes. Well, according to new numbers, Utah lags behind the national average of identifying children for autism. And in an effort to improve the state's standing, the Institute for Disability Research, Policy, and Practice at Utah State University is going to begin offering free remote early identification of autism training for Utah service providers. Janelle Preston is a special educator at USU and says that when early identification is missed, children and families miss out on critical services that could increase overall quality of life. Peterson explains that it's hard to pinpoint why Utah falls behind in early identification of autism, but she suspects that it could be due to lack of access. She adds that in comparison to other states, Utah is pretty rural.
If you live along the Wasatch Front, you have access to a lot of things. But coming maybe from San Juan County, that's a long drive into the Wasatch Front, which requires families to take time off of work. If you have a child that is not able to make transitions very easily, that can then cause a ripple effect.
Now, Preston adds that children who go years without being diagnosed can struggle to navigate interactions with peers, manage schoolwork, and get a job later in life. And a man has been court-ordered to stay in custody after a grand jury indicted him on multiple federal crimes. Felon and foreign national Armando Reyes Ascension, a 43-year-old of Salt Lake City, has reportedly possessed more than 9,000 fentanyl pills, a loaded firearm, and other dangerous weapons, along with $87,000 in cash, according to the U.S. Attorney's Office. Now, according to court documents, officers with the Salt Lake City Police Department received multiple tips of a man selling large amounts of fentanyl pills from an apartment. Now, during surveillance, officers observed a man, later identified as Reyes Ascension, exit the apartment and then make multiple short-stay stops to known drug areas. Now, as the investigation continued, police learned that Ascension had been previously deported in July of 2003 and again in March of 2020. He legally re-entered the country in May of this past year. He was deported a third time in June, but then was found back in the United States just 2 months later in August. Now, Reyes Ascension has been charged with multiple felonies, including re-entry of a previously removed alien. Smoke and haze continuing in the forecast this evening as temperatures have been in the low 80s today. Tonight we'll see temperatures drop into the high 40s, and then we'll be back into the high 80s for tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday, and a chance of rain heads our way for Sunday. I'm Will Feelright for KVNU News.
ABC News, I'm Daria Albinger. At first, Layla Farrell thought it might have been a drill.
I was in the classroom called Food Nutrition and Wellness, and we were just going through like a normal day. My teacher was actually doing like a PowerPoint on his screen, and suddenly the screen said hard lockdown in big red words, and the light started flashing, a light that I had never seen before within a drill.
She attends Appalachia High in Winder, Georgia. It was the site of a deadly school shooting today. 14-year-old student Colt Gray is accused of killing 4 people. 9 people were injured. The Justice Department Department has seized Kremlin-run websites and charged 2 Russian state media employees of attempting to spread information ahead of the November election. A surgeon in Miramar Beach, Florida, is accused of taking out the wrong organ, the patient dying on the operating table. His wife says a doctor removed her late husband's liver instead of his spleen. The hospital is investigating. This is ABC News.
Hey, radio listeners, before we get you back to the music, let me tell you real quick about what I did that is saving me a lot of money. I got new insulation in my house. That's right. Now, I know you're thinking, boring, but have you seen the reports lately about how better insulation can save a ton of money on your energy bills? I can tell you it made a huge difference in my home. I mean, not only does the temperature stay perfect, but my energy bill is definitely down. Do what I did. Call Cardall's Insulation, 755-5012. That's 755-5012 for Cardall's Insulation.
Hi everyone, it's Congressman Blake Moore here. It's been a busy summer visiting communities and meeting with Utahns across the 1st District. My Ogden-based office has also enjoyed engaging with you at many local events. We're always grateful to connect with you. I'd love to continue hearing your thoughts on what is happening in Congress and how current issues impact you and your family, from inflation to border security and everything in between. Please join me for my next telephone town hall on Thursday, September 5th at 12 p.m. by dialing in at 833-305-1678. That's 833-305-1678 on Thursday, September 5th at 12 p.m. Due to U.S. law, I will be unable to communicate with constituents 60 days leading up to the general election unless you are subscribed to our weekly e-newsletter and follow us on social media. So be sure to subscribe and follow today. You can sign up for our e-newsletter at blakemore.house.gov and follow along on social media at Rep. Blake Moore. Thank you, and I look forward to hearing from you on September 5th. Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
Bank of Utah says thank you. Thanks to those who voted for Bank of Utah in the Best of Northern Utah contest, their 3rd gold medal in a row for Best Bank in Northern Utah. Whether you need a personal checking or savings account, need to finance your dream business, auto or home, or are looking for wealth management or investment services, Bank of Utah is your bank. Find out how Bank of Utah can serve you by going to bankofutah.com. Member FDIC and MLS number 422914.
Today's hearing aid technology can improve not only your life, but the lives of the people who care about you. Once again, you'll be able to hear the reason for their laughter and understand conversations. Dr. Paul Danes will customize a hearing improvement program to meet your unique requirements, whatever they are. Call Dr. Danes for an appointment at 753-HERE and let him show you how.
Bring back what you've been missing. Bring back Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology.
At Truck Ranch, our goal is to find you the perfect truck. Hear what customers are saying about Truck Ranch. Just tell us real quick why you chose Truck Ranch.
Well, I had a friend who bought a truck here. I've been looking for a truck. They had a few trucks I really liked, but, they weren't pushy. I would just say they were helpful, really.
Tell us about your truck.
This is a Ford Super Duty. I went with this because I really like how Truck Ranch upgraded it with the wheels and tires. I wanted the 10-speed diesel, and so, yeah.
So you recommend Truck Ranch?
Oh, definitely. They made it so easy.
Better service, better prices, better trucks. TruckRanch.com.
This is County Executive David Zook inviting you to join us for a powerful tribute. Cache Valley Remembers, the 9/11 Project. After the 9/11 attacks, we all promised that we would never forget. This event is one way we can keep that promise. It's also a way we can help the next generation to learn what we learned, that after 9/11, our country united. Join us at the Hanson Family Sports Complex in North Logan from September 11th to 14th, from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. as we honor the memories of September 11th. Experience an immersive timeline, unite in remembrance, and explore career opportunities with the police, fire, and military agencies that will be at the event. It's a free community event to reflect, learn, and serve. Let's stand together in the spirit of unity to keep our promise to remember. For more information, visit CacheValleyRemembers.com. That's CacheValleyRemembers.com.
The
Napa Gold filter sale through September 14 has 60% off all Napa Gold filters, and Napa's most popular motor oils are on sale too. Napa Synthetic Blend, $2.99 a quart. Full Synthetic, $3.99 a quart. That means 5 quarts of Napa Premium Oil and a Napa Gold filter start for less than $20. Mention this ad, get a Napa racing hat with any $50 purchase while supplies last. Air filters, cabin filters, fuel filters, oil filters, every Napa Gold filter on sale at your locally owned Napa Auto Parts stores from Preston to Providence.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. Thanks again to Cache County Executive David Zook for stopping by, going into detail on the Ignite the Light event. Again, this Saturday, 4 to 10 p.m., a free event, festival-like environment that is centered around talking, thinking, and getting together as a community in a productive way around suicide prevention, mental health. I love David's analogy. He said, this is the only health issue, which mental health is a health issue when it pops up. If someone is struggling with a mental health issue, it is very similar to someone struggling with any other medical issue. And yet we talk about it and even respond to it differently. If you're out hiking and roll your ankle, you go to the emergency room. You are assessed by a doctor, or if it's not an emergency, you go to your doctor or a clinic. You're assessed by a professional. They tell you what the solution is, or a set of solutions in some scenarios. They do that. Then there is oftentimes some sort of post-care management or physical therapy, something like that. Or if it's not a major issue, at least some advice for post-care from the doctor and the professionals. No one thinks a second time about that if you roll your ankle. But we don't do the same thing if someone is in a mental health crisis. It's a completely different approach. And as David said, that is changing, and that's good. And we'll probably see suicide rates decline because of that. But Ignite the Light this Saturday is a way that we can all be a part of changing that environment in a productive way through our own actions. And that's by getting together and talking about this and thinking about it more productively. And go have a good time. Listen to Cole and the country music. He's the artist that will be playing at this year's event, the 4th annual, by the way, event. Cole Hartley. He's a really, really talented country musician, if you've never heard of him. Mike Schlappe will be speaking. He is hilarious and has the most inspiring story I think I've ever heard. And he always shows up in this T-shirt or hoodie sometimes that says, "I can, I will, watch me." And I love this. He's paralyzed from the waist down. He is an Olympic gold medal winner, and he's just hilarious. So this is a really fun event. There will be food trucks, booths, and educational resources as well. You'll learn a lot. You'll have a good time, and it's great for the kids and the whole family. So I love that they do this every year. But I did want to mention this because we brought it up a couple of different ways. The suicide and mental health crisis hotline, now a national hotline similar to 911. It is 988. That is a resource to know about. And David mentioned that 988, the crisis hotline, 24/7 hotline, is something that started here in Utah. Coolest story behind this. In Utah, State Senator Daniel Thatcher, this was years ago. Senator Orrin Hatch was still a United States Senator when this happened, and that comes up in a bit in the story. But State Senator Daniel Thatcher had been thinking along these same lines as what David and I were talking about. And he said to himself and then eventually to his peers on Capitol Hill here in Utah, it is ridiculous that we don't have something like 911, but specifically for a mental health crisis. This could save lives. Could connect people to resources. Someone who maybe doesn't dare tell a family member or a friend or a coworker because of stigma or fear they'll be judged. This could be a critical decision for them to make that first phone call to get help, and help is available. We know all that, but there's no number. There are suicide prevention hotlines. But what if someone is not suicidal and just in a mental health crisis? And he brought up all these different scenarios, and all of his peers on Capitol Hill said, what a great idea. Let's do this. Utah needs similar to 911, a crisis hotline for mental health issues. And they chose 988 because it was available. And they started working on this, and they were going to make it a state thing. And then United States Senator Orrin Hatch caught wind of this, and he this is the story I was told by State Senator Thatcher. State Senator Daniel Thatcher gets a call on a Sunday evening from United States Senator Orrin Hatch, who says, I love your idea of a 988 mental health crisis hotline like 911, an emergency service, basically, to connect them with resources or even emergency help if necessary. But you're not thinking big enough. This shouldn't just be Utah. This should be national. 2-3 years later, it's a thing. This was a long time ago, but it is, it was in Senator Orrin Hatch's last year in office. So whenever that was, I think 2014. Anyway, amazing stuff. And it did start as a smaller idea here in Utah, but now 988 is a national help hotline and emergency response line for mental health issues. So Utah can claim that one as one of our greatest ideas now nationwide. We'll be back with more of KVNU's For the People right after this.
The Cache Valley Latino Festival is coming to Logan Center Street September 14th, and you're invited. The celebration begins at 11 a.m. with a parade. Enjoy music and live performances throughout the day. Mouth-watering food trucks and vendors offering handmade crafts. It's a celebration of Latin American heritage and culture that everyone can enjoy. So bring your family and friends and let's celebrate. The Latino Festival is sponsored by Members First Credit Union. Large enough to provide the services you need, small enough to provide the services you deserve. Gosner Foods. The straws are back on Gosner Milk. Pick up some high-quality dairy products at the Gosner Food Store. Anderson Seed and Garden and Logan Extermination, keeping you green during the summer and in the holiday spirit in the winter. Presto Products, now hiring. Apply for a career today at Presto Products in Lewiston. And Connect Public Transit, formerly CVTD, connecting you with the people and places that matter most. Find your route at rideconnectutah.gov. The Cache Valley Latino Festival, September 14th on Center Street in Logan, where culture and community come together.
Insurance premiums? We know it can be both frustrating and confusing. This is Matt Robbins with Quality First Insurance, an Alera Group company. Insurance rates will always be increasing. As an auto owner's independent agency, we strive to stabilize the rate increases by quoting multiple carriers to give you multiple options. Give us a call today to discuss your rates and get the best price. 435-752-0101.
September is National Honey Month, and to celebrate, Cox Honeyland has local Cache Valley honey on sale. Bring in your own jar to refill or snag one of their 12-pound or 24-pound containers. It's also time to make room for fall merchandise. Their fall-summer clearance sale at Cox Honeyland is underway. Save up to 50% off all summer merchandise, including the spinners. Their fun gift store is full of decor, treats, and more. That's Cox Honeyland and Gifts, 1780 South, Highway 89, Logan.
Get ready for the 2024 Top of Utah Parade of Homes, presented by Willow Lakes. Explore stunning custom-built homes, showcasing exquisite design and architecture. September 12th through the 14th and the 19th through the 21st. Platinum sponsors Burton Lumber and Remax Peaks invite you to experience Cache Valley and Bear Lake's finest living. Mark your calendars to be inspired by these beautiful homes. Get tickets at Bank of Utah and USU Credit Union or online at topofutahparadeofhomes.com. That's topofutahparadeofhomes.com.
At Truck Ranch, our goal is to find you the perfect truck. Hear what customers are saying about Truck Ranch. Just tell us real quick why you chose Truck Ranch.
Well, I had a friend who bought a truck here. I've been looking for a truck. They had a few trucks I really liked, but, they weren't pushy. I would just say they were helpful, really.
Tell us about your truck.
This is a Ford Super Duty. I went with this because I really like how Truck Ranch upgraded it with the wheels and tires. I wanted the 10-speed diesel, and so, yeah.
So you recommend Truck Ranch?
Oh, definitely. They made it so easy.
Better service, better prices, better trucks. TruckRanch.com.
The Aggies are heading to USC to face the Trojans Saturday afternoon.
The Nate Dreiling era at Utah State begins with a W.
KVNU is your home for the best game coverage with pregame at 7, kickoff at 9, and postgame and Aggie call immediately after the game. It's the Aggies and the Trojans.
We're going to have a chance. If we continue to fight, it's going to be a fun season. So we'll see you in L.A. Looking forward to it.
Saturday on News Talk KVNU, the heritage home for the Aggies.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Ballot language is out for the proposed constitutional amendments. I've talked about two of them here on the show, and I'm still trying to convince our listeners to send a message to lawmakers and vote against both. We're amending the state constitution way too often and far too easily, and I don't like it. We'll talk more about the ballot language tomorrow, though, when we have some time to do it. It's being responded to by the public who have seen it as deceptive. In fact, I even heard it described by one candidate for office for the state legislature as a lie. His exact words, Alan Westman, who is a United Utah Party candidate for state legislature, said, "The legislature is willing to lie to you to get more power." Those are strong words. I've never seen anything like this in Utah. We'll see where this goes, but so far this is going over like a lead brick from what I can see, and lawmakers are worried. They may have sunk all of the 4 constitutional amendments total that will be on your ballot that they'd proposed with this final one, the 4th one. And maybe that's a good lesson to them if that happens. But we'll talk about that tomorrow on the show and even break down some of the ballot language, what you can expect to see on your ballot for these 4 constitutional amendments proposed by Utah lawmakers, 2 of them to give them more power. That's tomorrow on the program. It's been kind of a heavy hour. An important hour, but a heavy hour, talking about the upcoming Ignite the Light event this Saturday at the Fairgrounds. So I made a special note to make sure and have a story ready for a lighthearted wrap-up. And this isn't entirely lighthearted, because imagine if you were the parents in this scenario, the worry. When your child leaves for school. This happened in Brooklyn, New York last week. Around 7 a.m., a 9-year-old boy left his Brooklyn family's apartment to head to school, CBS News New York reported, and didn't show up. Eventually, a missing child report was filed, and everyone started looking. Parents absolutely devastated. During the search, a CBS News helicopter was flying over and spotted the child on the roof of his family's own apartment building, in a lawn chair, under an umbrella, sipping a Coke from a cooler. He just didn't want to go to school that day, and he'd set himself up a little vacation spot on the roof of the apartment complex, but was foiled by a news helicopter that just happened to fly over.